We still have some people coming in. Moving them over now.
Okay.
Okay. I think that should be everybody for the moment.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the December 6th Fall Line Working Group meeting. I'm going to go ahead and get the meeting kicked off. The chair is on their way and will join as soon as possible. Janice, do you mind going ahead and doing the roll call?
Sure. Town of Ashland, Miss Amos.
Here.
Chesterfield County, Miss Smith.
Here.
Miss Walker. Hanover County, Mr. Vadunez. Henrico County, Mr. Ewer.
Here.
Miss Smidler.
Here.
City of Richmond, Miss Clark. VDOT, Mr. Riblet. Miss McAdory. Mr. Hudson. Let's see, CVTA, Mr. Parsons.
Here.
Plan RVA, Mr. Bushing. Mr. Riggin. Excuse me.
Here.
City of Colonial Heights, Mr. Flippin.
Here.
Thank you. City of Petersburg, Miss Sidemock.
Here.
Miss Williams. Folar, Miss Barrar.
Here. Here.
Sportsbackers, Mr. Tyndall. Tri-Cities MPO, Mr. Swakowski.
I'm here.
And Virginia Capitol Trail, Miss Anthony. Thank you. That concludes roll call for attendance.
Okay,
I
thank
do
you.
note we have some other attendees, and I'll mark that in the notes as well.
Yeah,
Hey,
I was going to
Jan-
say Scott is here from BDOT.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Thanks, Chet.
Yep. Okay, great. Thank you so much. We do have an agenda that's been sent out with the major component being the wayfinding plan update. Does anyone else attending today have any amendments that they would like for the group to consider to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we will move on. Item 4, the open public comment period. Is there, Janice or Sid, are you aware of anyone that has requested to speak today? Or is
No,
attending?
we haven't received any requests or any comments in the Zoom.
All right, I see the chair is here, so she's on her way. Great. So we can move on then to item number 5, the wayfinding plan update. And welcome, Ms. Brenner. I know that you do have some updates from our last meeting. And I know that there are some information items that you wanted to present regarding Henrico and Hanover in terms of additional detail and content that has been developed since the last meeting. I do want to put a placeholder on the agenda at the end of the discussion with Ms. Brenner for a couple discussion items to get clarification on regarding some things that we've been discussing over time, and I think we need to finally come up with a yes or no or a go or no go on a couple things. So before we get to that, let's go ahead and I will turn it over to Gladys. Do you want to share your screen? Are you able to?
Yes, I'm trying. I downloaded the updated operating system and it's not letting me do what I used to. Okay, let me see if this does it. One second. All right, it's telling me to quit and reopen Zoom. Um,
Gladys, if you'd like to email that to me, I can
Yeah, we can share the screen. if you
yeah,
want.
I will send it to Sid and we'll share it for you. Oh, you got it?
okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So can you see it? All right.
Yes, it's there.
So basically, we revised all the destinations and also, oops. Okay. We received input related to the destinations, and one of the comments was that there were destinations that were not currently connected or in the near future be connected to the trail, but they may need to be added later. So we were also talking about, we originally offered 3 options for pedestrian signs, and one of them had miles and time that it will take to bike and walk, and we discussed the value of having that additional information or not. So one thing that we decided based on all those comments is to consolidate the pedestrian signs and make them all with changeable sections so that we can change or add different parts. So that's one of the things that we did. We also added, eliminated some signs, but basically this shows what's on the first section of the trail. So this sign still will be in the city of Richmond, and we wanted to see if there's a possibility to get the destinations for the city of Richmond reviewed based on that draft that was originally provided by us, because even if we are not currently working in Richmond per se, all the signs that point towards Richmond, like when you're in Henrico and the signs are facing south, they will have the Richmond destinations. So right now we put some destinations that were in the original draft, but we would like to get some more confirmation as to whether we are on the right path or we need to add, change some of the destinations. So in Henrico, we start with those areas where we communicate that the trail continues, where it turns coming from Bird Park, and then it goes towards Spring Park. And we added one sign like on the median on Lakeside Avenue. We had this sign here that shows that the trail continues that way, but we put a sign perpendicular to the road as well that points towards the vehicular entrance to Spring Park. And then a small sign here that says the trail continues, and this will be the first pedestrian sign. Then we have them also with some photos that show exactly where the site is. Then we still keep this Spring Park trailhead vehicular sign sort of pointing to parking that is located here on this corner before you enter the few parking spots that are here. And then we have a pedestrian trailhead as well here, showing the amenities of Spring Park. And so this will be these signs. And then, we can look in detail at the destinations. There were a couple of destinations that we couldn't find, so we sent an email to Henrico requesting if they can locate for us on a map. And then here we are looking at a mile sign that's also to reinforce, because this will be the entrance of the trail, so right in the middle probably where we thought of using a mile sign if the full mile or half mile falls there. So then we have pedestrian signs getting to close to Dumbarton, and also some crossing signs here, and then another pedestrian sign and crossing signs, a mile sign. So these are all pedestrian, as I mentioned, they all turned into being the ones that have the changeable inserts. And if they are on the street, like in this case, they have different height. If they are off the street, they are the smaller signs. These are the signs on Hilliard. So we added some signs from last presentation. We went all the way to Hilliard Road. So these again are from Bryant Park. This is where I think this is where Henrico starts, where we put this sign on the median, then this other sign on the median pointing towards the vehicular entrance. Okay. Yeah, this is on the crossing where you cross. I think, yes, when you cross and then you go into Spring Park. This is the first pedestrian directional. This is the same scene from the back. This is where we envision playing this parking sign. And then this is where we suggest placing the trailhead, pedestrian trailhead sign. Another pedestrian directional. This is the same scene from the back. And where there are opportunities, where there are posts, we suggest using either the vinyl or metal panel. This will be the mile marker on the intersection between Michael and Vale Street. And this is close to Dumbarton. I think this guardrail probably will be open at some point to let access. This will be the same one seen from the back. And since the crossing now is more towards this section, like in the middle of passing Gillespie, yes, so we point that way. This is where probably the zebra lines will be. And then I think this is where the crossing will take place. And this is on the other side of Dumbarton, a pedestrian sign. This one is when you get to Hilliard Road, I think 25. Okay.
Yes, that's Hilliard.
And so once you cross Hilliard, we place this sign to let you know that you need to keep going in that direction. And this is before you turn on Hilliard Road. And this is the same sign seen from the other side. And this one is on Brook Road as you come from the north. And this is the same sign seen from the other side. So this is as far as we place the signs in the first Henrico section. So basically, we're going to send all this to Henrico to evaluate the destinations, to look at them and see if there are more signs needed, less signs, or if there's any comments. And then we will keep developing the additional sections in Henrico. I don't know if there are any comments related to this that you can think of from what you saw, or you want me to go over back to any of the signs, or
Todd has his hand raised.
say it again.
Yeah, good morning, Gladys. Thank you for this. We will be sending you those clarifications on the additional locations you asked about probably later today.
Mhm.
So you can include that. I will point out that the mile markers, I think we still need to do a reset on those because mile marker 0 is starting in Ashland and it's counting up going south. So we still don't know where they all go. I think as we get close to final plans for the VDOT design build section, we'll be able to piece together the distances and know where the mile markers are going to go. But I don't think we know that information accurately yet. The other point I will make to the group, we talked about kind of the sign locations and designations internally, and we were, I guess, discussing for trail users, we want to be able to designate where there's, for example, restaurants and retail and so forth, but we didn't want to get into naming specific retail locations and so forth, because inevitably you include some and leave some out. So I think we're very much in support of just using the kind of generic universal symbols to direct people towards those type of amenities. I think Gladys, you were in support of that.
Yes, when we developed the next presentation is a little section of Hanover. So I had an opportunity to discuss with them the location of the main concentration of restaurants and retail. So you will see that we included the symbols on that. So yeah, regarding the miles, basically we sort of guessed and we put mile 14, 15, but we may be completely off. And then we will adjust the location of those mile markers based on the actual information when we get it. But yeah, in Hanover, we mark the trailhead. We don't have the floor plans like we did for Henrico, so we may have to go back and forth to this map. But this basically is the trailhead sign at Carter Park, which is located towards the corner. And then there's a crossing here. And then there's a crossing of a main artery here. Then there's a pedestrian sign as you start on the paved road and a mile marker, which is mile 1. And then there's another pedestrian sign at the beginning of that bridge and another one at the end of the bridge. Then a mile marker that may be located somewhere in this section. Then there's a crossing sign, a pedestrian sign. No, actually, there's a curve in the path, so we suggested this sign to reinforce, but we may eliminate it depending on on the needs and the cost. Then there's a pedestrian sign and probably another mile marker. So as I said, this is the trailhead, crossing signs, the mile, the pedestrian signs. And as you can see here, we included a restaurant and retail symbols in many of the locations. For example, this one is Cobbs Road / Lewistown, because I think you get there through Cobbs Road. And this is downtown Ashland. So on those, we included restaurants and retail.
I like that, Gladys. That looks nice. I like those symbols with the road. I think that's what we were envisioning. What about the mile mark, like the mileage? Like adding that like to the destinations? I know we didn't want to do time, like how long it would take, but
I don't know, because these signs are a little higher than the original ones that had the mile information. We may have to make them larger to include the miles, or make the font smaller. So yeah, we could include that information. In some cases, for example, the ones that have the symbols, it will be really tight. I think this local map will be on the sign. So I'm thinking maybe we can put the mileage there in small letters. That's an option as well. But in any case, if they look at the map, they will get a feel for how far it is. So it's not as abstract as, just keep going and eventually you will get there. So we can explore both options, either miles to the map or some mileage, which sometimes it's difficult to calculate, and how to measure that. We were using using Google Maps to establish some mileage, but it's hard because it doesn't. You can show people walking on the specific trail, but on the adjacent streets. So yeah, that's also a decision that if we include miles on the inserts, maybe we want to do it across the board, or if we include miles on the map as well. I will make a note. Let's see. So these are the signs located on the site.
Yes, if you don't mind, I think Joe has a question.
Yes, sure. Go ahead.
Trying to find the unmute button. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Just real quickly, just following up on Enrico's comment about not wanting to include the time, but only the distance. That's our position as well. Is that a decision that is specific to each locality, or are we agreeing that we would do away with the times shown on the signage?
I think, based on the comments from last meeting, yeah, we can, because the sign that included the miles and the time for biking and walking also were not changeable inserts. So if you add a destination, or if a destination changes names, you have to modify the whole panel. And also these signs are more expensive because since they are larger to include all the information and they are cantilevered, you need to build an internal structure, sort of like a frame to hold the panels. So that's why, I sort of made an executive decision and decided to eliminate those and to go with all the pedestrian signs with inserts, unless there's, somebody that really wants to move back to the ones that include the biking and walking times. I think related to the miles, I, believe, of course, I'm a visual person, so I believe that people orient themselves with maps quite well. Also, the maps, when we, on these schemes, the maps are for position only. Once we order the signs, we develop a map for each sign with each section, corresponding section. So the map will reflect whatever is on the sign, the destinations that are there, and also it's oriented in the same orientation as the viewer. So like in architectural drawings, you always put the north on top. In wayfinding, you always put whatever destination the viewer is standing on. This trail is mostly north-south. So that means that on one side of the sign, there will be a map facing north, and on the reverse, the map will be facing south. So I think those will be very helpful and will give the walker or biker an idea of how far the destinations that are listed on the sign are. I think that we may not need to include the mileage unless you really want for us to include that. But I think with the arrows and the trailhead signs will include the complete trail, the 43 miles. So that will also give an idea to the bikers or walkers how far the trail goes and how long it is. And we may include this sign, the trailhead sign is a large sign, so we may include some information about mileage. For example, instead of making the regulations that big, or maybe reduce the number of regulations, and maybe give the miles to each trailhead all along the trail. So that's another way that we can include the mileage somehow. But yeah, does that answer your question basically? I get
yes, it did.
So here we're that's another thing that I wanted to discuss today. I wasn't clear whether the branded crosswalks were approved or not. So this is the same one that we showed last time, and it's one option for a branded crosswalk. If they are approved, we can investigate 2 or 3 different options. Because the background of the logo is white, we could as well, as I said before, include small logotypes on the side, alternate them, something similar to what was done for, I think it was Baltimore, that is like, a hopscotch game. So we can get into the design of different options, but we wanted to know whether we should go in that direction or not. So I don't know if we can come up.
Yeah, can we take a second and talk about that? I'm curious to hear what other people think. I know Todd has his hand raised, probably about something that we just discussed. But I know that Scott is also here. Curious what VDOT's opinion is on this. Todd, do you want to go first?
Yeah, thanks, Chet. Yeah, before we close the book on the mileage signs, for the benefit of anybody that wasn't part of that discussion, does everybody understand what Gladys is talking about regarding Joe's question on the mileage that had the estimated time for bikes and pedestrians? It was on one of the signs that was in the signage standards master plan. We thought that was a very busy sign. There was a lot of information. It was a little overwhelming, and we also kind of figured that everybody walks or rides at a different speed, so the time was a little bit less pertinent than the actual distance. So we were supporting just including the distance. So if we just want to make sure everybody else is good with that before that's kind of the standard for the entirety of the trail.
Anyone, let's just do a quick poll. Anyone opposed to just showing the distance? All right, just asking one more time, making sure the mute button is off. Okay, so Gladys, I hear agreement that distance is the measure to show.
All right.
Okay, so now let's talk about the crosswalks, the branded crosswalks. Anybody have strong opinions one way or the other?
Hey, Chet. The
Yes,
only
Scott.
thing, from a VDOT standpoint, and I'll let Mark when he gets on the next meeting, he can speak more to this. But I don't know as if we talked briefly about this, I think a meeting or two ago, and I don't know as if a branded crosswalk would fly. I don't know. The first thing I think is the maintenance intensive type of item. Then from a federal standpoint, I don't know if that on some of these roads they would allow that. I'm just wondering if we go back and we have to repave that section of road. Does this all of a sudden become an issue when you've got something like this? Personally, I like it. I just don't know if the department would get behind that. Yeah, I guess I'd kind of look to see what Todd, yours thoughts are on that as well.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Thanks, Scott. So I know there's been a lot of discussion amongst different groups within VDOT on whether these would be permitted or not. So I guess we're waiting for some sort of consensus opinion, Scott, from the districts on where the crosswalks will be on VDOT maintained roads. What I will share with the group is for many of the crossings in Henrico, they're going to be crossing county maintained roads, so we're going to be maintaining, and we are looking at doing some sort of branded crosswalk. Nothing, I guess, too elaborate. To Scott's point about maintenance, and maybe it's a little less critical now because we are talking about doing medallions, at the starting point of the trail on either side of the crossings. So that I think helps a little bit with the branding, but we still think it would make for a nice amenity for the trail to have a branded crosswalk where feasible.
Yeah. So Todd, would are you talking like the medallions right before you get into the roadway or something like that?
Yeah, what we talked about, and I think Sports Backers had provided some examples. It would basically be facing somebody entering the trail as they cross the road, like basically some small inset into the asphalt pavement.
Yeah, I think VDOT would probably get more behind something that wasn't in the roadway. I think we'd probably want to stick with the standard colors that we use, because when you start getting into using colors like blue, those are usually used for things like handicap areas, so that could become somewhat confusing if people are all of a sudden seeing blues and different colors out there.
Right. So my understanding is that since we can, we would probably start including the medallions in the crossings that are maintained by the county and investigate some branded crosswalks for the crossings that are maintained by the county. we may have to confirm which ones are which, but yeah, I think it makes sense. Also, I'm thinking these crosswalks, instead of the large logo, can be small logos incorporated to the zebra lines, and those can be vinyl, high density vinyl, and that's not an expensive element, so you can order several and keep them in stock. So if you repave or repaint the lines, you will have extra ones. So there are some practical ways that we can think about the maintenance of these branded crosswalks.
Can I weigh in on the crosswalks real quick? This is Barb. One thing also I think we need to keep in mind is direction of travel. Not everyone is going north to south or south to north, so it needs to work in both directions.
Mm-hmm.
And even though Henrico has the ability to kind of do what they want with these crosswalks, it would be nice to find a solution that will work for the whole trail, so there's consistency, which is really the point of this wayfinding plan. So if there's a way, like Gladys was mentioning, of adding, VDOT could come in, resurface the road, put in a typical crosswalk, and then we could come in and add the vinyl, high density vinyl, whatever, stickers after. Maybe that's a solution that would work along the whole trail for folks.
Yes.
And I don't really like this particular look.
Yeah.
But I think we'll be able to come to some sort of, we'll find a solution.
I mean, I don't want to weigh down the conversation with this today. Scott, I think we probably need to have a follow-up call with whoever needs to be involved at VDOT to see what our options are and what the state can live with. And I see Joe's comment that he likes Barb's idea as well. So maybe there's a maintenance part and then a handoff to the locality to do an overlay or something like that. So Scott, are you okay kind of working internally to see who should be on a call, and we'll set that up?
Yeah, I'll get with Mark and probably our traffic folks to set something up.
Great, thank you.
Yep. Thanks.
And then we'll report back to the group on what the list of options could be. Todd, I see your hand up.
Yeah, and I'm totally good with that approach, and yeah, we're certainly would support something that would be able to be used in every jurisdiction along the trail, not something necessarily unique to Henrico. But I will point out, and that maybe this is for Scott to take back to VDOT group, is we also want to be very mindful of the materials that would be used, because we want to make sure that these things are skid resistant, so they're not slippery when wet for cyclists and pedestrians. So I think in addition to any type of branding, we also want to be mindful of what material that is used for that.
Yeah, that's a good point, Todd. I'll do you want me to include the localities in this meeting? Or do we want to start smaller and work our way up?
We would be happy being included, but we'll defer to the group.
Barb, do you all want to be on that call, that meeting?
Yeah, if you don't mind including me on the appointment, I would listen in if my schedule allows.
Okay. All right, I'll set something up.
So 2 quick comments to wrap up the crosswalks. Whatever we design will be consistent for all localities. So I just took the example of Henrico in terms of saying whatever is maintained by the locality, we will concentrate on that. And the other comment is that The vinyl that is used for this is floor vinyl that is specific for that use. It's long term, like they have, depending on the material, 5 to 10 years warranty, and it's usually non-skid. So because there's floor vinyl for interior, but there's floor vinyl for exterior as well. So that's a consideration.
And then Scott, I know you mentioned potentially the concerns with colors like blue, which usually references a handicap space or something like that. But maybe if we can even look into those crosswalks, just using some of the color schemes of the Fall Line Trail, like the green, the black, and so forth, for the crossing instead of having a full-on logo, that could be an option as well for consistency.
Yeah, that's a good point, Naomi. We'll, like I said, we had when we met with sports backers downtown. This was last month or so. Mark and I, or Roy Soto and I, we had started having this discussion with Brantley and about this very topic. So yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be more conversation on this. So.
Yes, it could also be used like reverse stencil in just one color. It will not be consistent with the rest of the trail, but if the blue is or the color is a problem, we can explore different options as well. In any case, going on with a little bit of Hanover, this is the crossing of Ash Cake from both sides. This will be sort of the location of mile 1. That's the only one that we may not have a controversy right now. So this will be a pedestrian sign. This, another one at the beginning of the bridge.
Hey, Scott, did you see that Nora
Yeah.
would like to be included with the meeting?
Yeah, I've got written down all localities, so
Okay.
I'll get a rep from all the way from Ashland down to Petersburg.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thanks, Barb.
All right. Going on into this area, there are, as I said before, there are like, I think 5 of these posts that we may choose 1 or 2 to reinforce the trail. However, you can't get out of the trail at this point, but this will be a pedestrian sign at the end of the bridge. And that's the same one looking from the other direction, facing north. Then this will be a mile sign. And this is when you arrive to Watney Church Road. So a pedestrian sign there. This is the same from the other side. And this is going into the other side of Watney Church, probably a mile marker. This is just a trail reinforcer. So that's basically what we have right now for Henrico and Hanover. The other thing that we wanted to discuss was the color for Petersburg. We discussed with them the use of a green that will be lighter than the one that we are using for Colonial Heights and darker than the one that we are using for Chesterfield. Not as blue as the teal that we are using for Ashland. But yeah, from the different options of oranges, yellows, blues, and other colors, this is what they chose. So I wanted to present it here to see if to make it sort of official.
Thanks for working with us on all the different color options. I know it got oddly complicated, but the screen looks good. So thank you.
All right. Okay.
Everybody good with this? Last chance.
I'm
Chad?
good with it.
Chet? Oop.
Sir, Joe.
Gosh, I hate to say it, but I mean, it's so close to Colonial Heights, and given the proximity of those two jurisdictions, if you were going to just go by color to as a basis to try to help you know where you are, I don't think it works.
Well, the color never works isolated. There's always, you know, the vertical reference to whatever section you are. So the color is just a background.
I understand, but if the idea is to kind of basically create a color identity, navy blue, I'm in Hanover, teal, I'm in Ashland. Well, those greens are so close together. I don't know how you would really, if that's what you were basing it upon, but this is not I don't take this comment the wrong. Do what you want to do, because I respect each locality, but I don't think it works if that's what the intent is to create this color identity between the different jurisdictions.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I see
Yeah.
Todd with his hand raised. Todd, what are your thoughts on?
Well, I would agree with that. The colors are pretty similar. I don't think there's not that much distinguished between the two localities. Now, the question that I would have is, though, even though Petersburg and Colonial Heights are pretty much adjacent to each other, the trail section itself actually goes from Petersburg into Colonial Heights in the Chesterfield and then back into Colonial Heights. So, I mean, I guess there might be.
Yeah, we have this whole
buffer.
thing of green going on, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, it may be separated because you kind of go into Petersburg and then somewhat into Chesterfield and then Colonial Heights. There might be a little bit more of a contrast there, but I would agree on the premise, yes. The color between Colonial Heights and Petersburg is not very distinguishable. So it's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, so it'll be from south to north. It'll be Petersburg, Chesterfield. Is that right? Yeah, Colonial Heights, and then
You're
back
right.
to Chesterfield.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's in Chesterfield, but Colonial Heights owns it.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I guess technically from a jurisdictional standpoint and the color standpoint, it'll be Chesterfield color. So.
Well, okay, here's a question, I guess for Naomi and Gladys. What if Petersburg did the blue, the dark blue? I mean, it's similar to Hanover, but they're two ends of the trail. So would that provide enough difference, and would that be acceptable?
I'm pretty sure we were fine with doing blue, but I think because of the number of blues there were,
Yeah.
Hey, Chet, this is Diana. Yeah, I mean, it only looks. I mean, Richmond looks like the only one that like is off of this blue-green color scheme. I mean, I had oranges in there. I mean, I'm just like, what happened to some of the other colors?
I would agree with that. The southern end is green and the northern end is bluish tint.
And we're red. I don't want to be
got
like
red right in the middle.
I like the red though, but I thought it was more pop across the other localities.
Well, we offered oranges and yellows to different localities and nobody liked them. So there are 2 aspects. One is the wayfinding, and the other one is that everybody's happy with the color they get. So those 2 things may be irreconcilable sometimes. As I said, for wayfinding purposes, it's not crucial because it's not like when we are doing a hospital that you want to make sure that people know in which area they are and they look at the colors and they say, oh yes, I'm in the right area. This is a leisurely trail. I don't think anybody will feel that they are lost because of the proximity in the colors. So from that point of view, it's not as crucial. Also, it may work as an advantage to see, okay, the southern section is all green, the northern section is all blue, the central section is red, which holds it all together. So it all depends on how you look at things. As I said, from the wayfinding, it's not an isolated element, it's reinforced with the name of the locality. So on.
Well, if it makes sense for Chesterfield to go to a blue to break up the green, we could do that, but I'm okay with whatever.
I was going to say, based on the amount of time we've taken to go through the color schemes, months, I think the primary focus should be pick colors that everyone is happy with. So we can have a milestone and move on. So at this point, I would err on the side of comfort rather than contrast. But if anyone has any strong feelings, aside from Joe, let's get those on the table now.
Well, I'm sending mine over again in lieu of the new color scheme, so I should hear something back pretty soon.
So you're thinking Richmond may change?
I don't know. I sent the last palette, and so now I just want to make sure that they're good.
Okay.
Because I mean, if we're not going to care, then if they wanted blue, then we're just going to be a blue-green thing. But yeah.
Todd?
Henrico is happy with their color. Henrico does not want to change their color, and Henrico supports every locality being happy with their color, even if they're similar. I think to Gladys's point, you'll have the locality label on the sign, on the wayfinding signs, in addition to the color. So I don't think it's essential that the color be something that you have to use to identify the locality you're in. So
thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so where are we on this? Are there strong feelings that the palette on the screen needs to change enough to extend this conversation another month or two? Or are we okay with moving forward like this?
I'm fine moving forward like this. I know we already had conversations about yellows and oranges in Petersburg, and those weren't received well. So I don't know that there's going to be much motion. We got one color that people were good with, so I think that we might need to stick with that for Petersburg.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd say for Colonial Heights, this color's been vetted. Everybody was okay with it. Certainly the similarities to Petersburg, I think we can say, well, we'll have our seal on it. You can tell we're in Colonial Heights versus another locality. So yeah, I would say let's move forward.
I don't think you'll have your seal on it.
It'll be the name.
It's just going to have your name.
Right.
It'll have the name of the municipality on it?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
yeah,
that should work.
So okay, I'm going to circle back. Hanover, can you live with this so we can get consensus?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So the other comment is we can make Colonial Heights a little bit darker and Petersburg a little bit lighter, so there's a little bit more difference between them. So that could be also a compromise.
I don't think you should fool with it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Gladys.
Let's see. So for action points, we would like to get the destinations revised from that draft that was circulated from Richmond. So I can send or Chet can send you the draft with the destinations that were listed there. And also, if possible, from Hanover, if we can get floor plans similar to the ones that we have from Henrico that have more detail for us to place the sign in the locations. And yeah, actually for all localities, if we can get the destinations firmed and reviewed. From Henrico, we would like to find out in which destination you want to have the restaurants and retail listed, so we can add it on the signs. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all the action points for now. And also, I think there was a question as to the length of time that it will take to develop the different areas. And we think for Henrico and Hanover, at least 2 months to keep developing the different sections. And then for the rest, depending on when we get the information that we need in terms of floor plans, destinations, and all that.
So has someone sent out the draft destination list?
Yeah, that's so Gladys, that was from July, correct?
Yes, I think.
Okay, I'm putting that's in the it was on the agenda for the July meeting, but I just put it in the chat, the link to the draft destinations.
Can you send that out in an email?
Sure.
Okay, well, I think from my end, I don't have any more comments. So.
Okay, great. Thank you, Gladys. I know that I think we covered all of the discussion points that I had tagged. So the colors, the branded crosswalks, we're going to follow up with VDOT and have an offline conversation about options to come up with and share that back with the full group. And then in terms of mile markers, did we talk about that today? Scott, can I ask you to talk about that for a little bit, just about how the, I guess that's coming up with through the design build process, right? To determine the start and end points.
Well, once we get the 100% plans for the Hanover section, we'll have a better understanding on what the exact mile markers locations would be. Obviously the southernmost section, with that alignment's pretty close to being nailed down. Do you want me to go into an update on that? This is probably a good segue into it.
Sure. Gladys, are you comfortable with everything you needed?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, and Gladys, I can get you some preliminary plans, but they're not 100%. I'm just hesitant. I'd hate for you to do a bunch of work and then we have to tweak an alignment and it throws the mile marker off. I don't know to what degree of accuracy you're looking for. We're not doing any major alignment shifts or anything, but there's always going to be little tweaks here and there that we have to make.
Yes, if we could get the preliminary, I think that will be helpful, because right now we are very unclear as to where they should go. If they need to be moved within a certain area, it doesn't involve any more work than moving the sign on the sign location plan. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'll get that together for you. So yes, to give everyone an update on DB2, the southern section, as we speak, we're doing the archaeological survey on the new alignment that runs just south of the original train trestles at VSU, and it will go up through the woods, and it essentially hugs the bowl, if you will, in the woods. You have a steep slope in there, and we'll be climbing at a 5% along the edge of that bowl out onto the service road behind VSU. So we are hopeful that come Friday, this Friday, we have a green light and we don't hit any archaeological significant areas to this section. With that said, if we can pursue this or stick with this alignment, that does help with the estimate, and it brings us to around a $67 million estimate to get up to Route 10. So a lot of moving parts on that. We got some preliminary pit plans for CSX to review. That's a pretty substantial bridge going over the CSX tracks. Let's see what else we have here. We will be working, I guess Mark, Roy, Liz, and I will be working this Friday on the overall estimate. And probably what we'll do is Barb will get with you and Dorona afterwards, being that you guys are going to be running the projects in your localities. We'll give you what we have, and then just help you guys in any way we can with developing those anymore. With that said, does anyone have any questions on DB1 up in Hanover or DB2 down in Petersburg, Colonial Heights, and Chesterfield?
Hey, Scott, this is Todd, Colonial Heights. If you are able to get the green light for the archaeological study, where would that put us as far as the process for the design build? Is that something that we would pretty much be 100% good with the alignment to move forward on that? Is that kind of where your thoughts are?
Yeah, Todd, that is the this is the big one that's holding everything up. As everyone knows, when we were looking at shifting this alignment downstream to help tie into the ART more efficiently, we hit some significant archaeological finds that we had to stop with what we're doing. So I'm not supposed to talk too much about what we found, but you can kind of put 2 and 2 together. But yeah, that's the only section of the alignment that's held up. You know, there excuse me, there was some discussion on whether or not we just skip over that and start up at Doopy, but by doing that, we would have essentially, created a break in the trail where we're not connecting Petersburg up to Colonial Heights and so forth. So that is the main reason for us to keep moving forward with this, including this section as part of this DB2 package. So, like I said, fingers crossed. Hopefully Friday we have good news. If that's the case, then we can keep moving forward with this alignment. So we're right now we're thinking we'll have an RFP out this coming summer.
Thanks, Scott.
Yes, sir.
That's great. Any other questions? Let's move on to locality updates. Anyone want to share any new information on fallen segments?
I have a question related to the realignment. We include in the signage location map of the whole trail. So I think we still have the old alignment. So if there is an update, if we can get it, that will be great.
Gladys, I'm sorry, who was that directed to?
I guess to Scott. Or yeah, I don't know who keeps track of the alignment of the full trail. So
Yeah. Hey, Glass. This is Scott. Yeah, we've got the alignment hasn't changed any from, I guess from the end of DB2, which is at Route 10, up through up to Ashland at this point.
okay.
So I don't want to speak for Dorona, but I don't think anything has changed in the city as of today.
All right.
Todd, you were?
Yeah, so that's a good question, Gladys. I'm not 100% sure what version you have of the whole trail alignment, because it has changed since the original map that was created for the A to P study in a number of locations, including in Henrico's. So maybe if you can send something that we could zoom in on, everybody could kind of check the alignment through their locality to see if that's the most accurate. And then if something needs to be changed, then we can figure that out.
Yes, we are using whatever is on the GIS map. I'm trying to open it to see what it's called. It's on the Plan RVA Maps ArcGIS.com. That was the one that we were using. So I don't know if that was updated or modified.
Phil, are you able to speak to that, please?
Yeah, Chet. I will have to check because I think that we have provided the alignment, but it's the same document that Liz McAdory and Scott had shared with us a few weeks back. But I'll check to make sure that we have the right alignment with Gladys.
Okay, thanks. Any other updates? Okay. Well, without any further updates from members, we're moving into future topics. The next meeting will be in the new year. I'm not sure if January 3rd works for everybody, but I think we'll do a follow-up scheduling message to make sure we find a date in January that the group can get together. I think we'll continue to hear from AB Design on the wayfinding plan, and we're not too far from General Assembly. So I would imagine that this group may also be a good clearinghouse for information about any legislation or funding opportunities that may come about in the next session to continue to get this trail paid for. Anybody else have any updates or requests for future topics? Okay, hearing none. I appreciate everyone's time. We went a little bit over, but it's about 10 after 10, and this meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.